you for wading the storm, man, and the traffic. And the traffic was crazy, right? Yeah. And not only the traffic, but thank you for, this flu. Can you believe it? How many of you know someone who's got a flu? Just raise your hand. That is crazy. That's not normal. Now I know pre-COVID time, I would have gone into some sort of conspiracy theory if people I know dearly didn't get it as well. But the fact of the matter is, isn't that crazy? Like before COVID, you would never have so many people get the flu like that, just like a plague. Something's wrong. Okay. You see, guys, last time was really awesome because the time I had with you, I just spoke about something that came to me just 2 weeks before. It was like fresh bread because a friend of mine had posted something and I read it and it said, like, why can't people remember me for who I am today? Why are they going back to my past? And I said, man, I've had that problem. Okay. And so I thought, okay, that's really a good idea. So we are constantly trying to reinvent ourselves, okay? And next year you'll be a new person, right? Okay? And the year after you'll be a new person. So much happened. I met a friend recently. I told you I was having lunch, and I passed her, and we met after 20 years. And last time I met her was at my friend Dhiren's house while I was partying on the second day. So, it was not her second day. It was my probably second or third day. I wouldn't remember by this time, okay? But the fact of the matter is, she was like, oh my God. I said, it's been like 20 years. And I was like, man, so much has happened. I said, I wish I could tell you. But just a shaking of a hand, and we moved on. But there was just one thing in that one sentence that I wanted to know about me, and she wanted to know about herself, because she had lost her best friend, her husband, and all that. And so at that point of time, there was so much she wanted to tell me as well, but we couldn't. Yeah? And I was thinking, Lord, there has to be a way, and we all build our relationships, our lives, our communities. Everything we do in life is so that someone could know you. That's it. Why we have strong friendships is because we say, but, my classmates, they know me, Machan. They know me. No one can scandalize me with them. They know me. And at the end of the day, everything we do is so that you and I would be known. You see, and it's as simple as that. But the first thing, you have to just get it, let's forget about all the pride and all the ego and say, oh, we're not interested. I'm so humble, I don't want to be known. Let's not go there. Because I want Fiona to know me for who I am. And so I spent 30 years of a marriage for her to get to know me. And she's still getting to know me. It's big. It's massive. I'm bigger than these shoes. Yeah? And there's so much for her to know. And the same with her. There's so much that I'm just still finding out. My God, Fiona, I never knew you. Every day and tomorrow, our traumas, our pains, our sufferings, our joys, our victories, our happiness will change us again. And then that interaction that happens between you and that pain and that good thing, and then how you communicate that to me, is that phenomena that we call in the interaction, in the system. That phenomena is the relationship we're longing for. Someone did a study recently, and I think it was a scientist called Tan, and they did a study, and they said the deepest need for humanity is to belong. It's to belong. You ask the United Nations, what's humanity's deepest need? Food, housing, clothing. They missed the deepest need. Today, scientists are finding out. Today, it's completely different. Neuroscience is changing, science is changing, psychology is changing. They say, no, hello, you can have all the food, you can have all the houses, you can have all the money in the world. This is what Jesus said. But if you don't belong, if someone doesn't know you for you, they say longevity is hampered. Those telomeres at the end of your DNA, they don't grow. Okay? Your cells fight against each other. And even sickness and disease cannot be fought by a lonely person. Come on, man. Everyone is looking for community. Everyone is looking for church. Okay? So God had a plan, when he actually had church. It wasn't supposed to be the church that it had turned out to be. Church means community. It's 5 people under a tree. It's 10 people over a dinner table. It's 100, 200, 5,000, 10,000, 100,000 people. Wherever there is people who are ready, available, open to know each other. Because it is, the Bible says this, it's not the Christ in the heavens above, but it's the Christ in you, Ralph, that is the hope for my glory. There is a Christ in you, not Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus of Nazareth also means my Lord and my Savior, but he lived 2,000 years ago. And Jesus of Nazareth would not want you to be like him. He was called the unique Son of God. The word there is unique, Son of God. The word unique means that he wants to give you your uniqueness. And he won't want to rob Ralph of his uniqueness, or Fiona of his uniqueness. He wants you now to be that unique person. Until you become that unique person, I'm poorer, and this community is poorer because you don't express yourself fully. You see? And it's so important. That's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about how does someone come into their full expression? How does someone come into their full expression? I love to see wowers. When I see wowers, I see them in their fullest expression. They are who they are. They're not like Kirby de Lanerolle. Praise God. Okay, they don't have to look like me. They look like them. And Jesus came to give them their full expression back. You see? And so I always said, it's an amazing story. Jesus, when he finds his first disciples, it's a beautiful story. He's walking on the beach, like a good Velavatta boy. Yeah. He's walking on the beach, and while he's walking on the beach, he's meeting these guys. And while he's walking, he says the word akalo theo me, which means follow me, which was generally said by a rabbi to the disciples. And so, as he was going, he meets this guy called Philip and Nathaniel, two guys. And he literally, when he sees Nathaniel and Philip, he does this wonderful thing. He literally says, I saw you. That's what he tells Nathaniel. He's like, you saw me? See, this guy is a big shot, right? He's got thousands of people following him, and he stops at one guy and says, I saw you. And he explains to him, and he says, you are a person. He says, you are a person. And he tells people, he says, look and see. And he not only did he say, I saw you, but now this is how he gets his disciples. This is how Jesus does discipleship, okay? Amazing, okay? Not like how we do church. At least not how they do church. We do church differently. Okay, sorry, it's us and them, okay? but the fact of the matter is, it's okay. You have to be an individual. You will never be able to celebrate your oneness unless you learn to celebrate your individual self. And someone needs to be able to see you. And not only that, Jesus says, not only I saw you, but he actually then looks at everyone else and says, observe and see. And he points everyone else at Nathanael. Okay? And he says, a man without guile. And he says, this man is an awesome man. He's a man without guile. So what he saw, he said, behold. He saw, and because he saw, he knew. And then Nathanael becomes a follower, and he follows Jesus, and Jesus says, you are following me because I said I know you. That should seal the deal. And then he goes on to a very, very deep teaching. Just in one moment, Jesus could change gears like that, okay? I try a bit of that, okay? And he goes into this deep teaching, and he says, not only will you now know this stuff, but you will see that angels will ascend and descend upon the Son of Man. And that's the whole thing about how I started this whole topic, what ascending and descending. It means that, look, if you can see, then you will know. And if you know, you will own. Anything you see, you will know. You've got to know it. And the word know there is gnosis, but epignosis means you will know intimately. Okay? I love to know people intimately. Fiona has to actually drag me by my hand after the meetings, because I'm like, I don't know, it's like God is giving me this strange spirit. It's like, I miss people. And so when after the meeting, I'm like, hey, how are you? Can we hang out? And so we're going home, we're hanging out with those people now. Yeah. Because it's like, it's amazing when you see people. Do you get a feeling like you miss them? Like you might not have met them, you might have met them just once in your life. I miss you. Where the heck were you? Where were you all my life? And that's what I feel about WOW. And that's the church called WOW. You know, it's like I miss hanging out because the Spirit of Jesus says, I see and I know, and because I know, I own. You are mine. You see, as much as I am yours, very humbly. I would love to be yours. You see? And so that ownership causes community. And you know, when someone sees you for who you are, truly are, it means that you're safe. That's the key. It means that you're safe. It means that someone sees you and he says, I like you. You're cool. I see you. I know you. Don't worry about all that. Don't cover it up. In fact, let me see you in that way because I like that. And that's exactly, it's a safe space. And when you're safe, you can get healed. And that's why I always say, when you create a space for people to express themselves fully, what it means, and when you see a space like that, you got to value a space like that. It means that people can come alive in that atmosphere because they are not trying to defend themselves in the old way again. You see? And that's what's beautiful. You see, when someone's expressing himself, it means his defenses are down. You get it? When I come to this room, my defenses are down with you. You see, there's no defenses. So I can tell all the stories, like stories I've never told other people. I say here, and then it goes up online, and then I get hammered for it outside. But the fact of the matter, it's okay, right? But it's because you give me the space, you give me the ability to be vulnerable. There's something about wow, when you come, you're like, I just want to bear my heart out here. I just want to leave my heart on the floor here at your feet because it's a safe space. And that's what you need to feel. When you come to church, you need to feel that it's safe. Because if you feel you're safe, it means that your walls are porous. Your defenses, your walls are fluid. It's so nice to have fluid walls, isn't it? The Bible says it like this. It says, guard your heart with everything you got. He said, guard your heart. He says, because out of it flows the limitations of your life. Guard your heart with all diligence. This is what the Bible says. Guard your heart. That means you build a wall around your heart. Because depending on what type of guard you put around your heart, will also flow what type of limitations will be in your life. I've got like jelly walls, but they're strong. They're like, I don't know, like carbon jelly, something like that. Something that is only in another planet, okay? But it's around my heart. It's porous. It's open. It's guarded, but it's open. So my borders are soft because I like to be open to you. You see? And so this is so important because I'm talking about a community, guys. Don't forget, I'm talking about the body of Christ, the community that you are in today. And this community that you are in is safe. Why is it safe? Because you can express yourself. How do you know it's safe? Because people express themselves. They do crazy stuff when they take the mic. Okay? That means it's a safe space for you to be you. Now that's really good because it means that when it becomes safe, it means that you have now started recalibrating the way you defend yourself. When you start recalibrating the way you defend yourself, it means that you're expressing yourself fully, which means that your mind is changing. And if your thinking starts changing, the next thing that happens is it affects your emotions. And if your emotions start changing, guess what's going to happen after that? Your body starts changing. And when I say body, it just doesn't mean that you get healed of sickness, disease, all that kind of stuff. Of course, you get healed of sickness, disease, but it is your body and it's your nervous system that affects the world. When you're in a bad mood, trust me, your office knows about it. When you're in a bad mood, when your emotions are bad, your wife knows about it. Everyone knows that you're in a bad mood. It's because your thinking process has gone somewhere. And it has gone somewhere because now you had to defend yourself in a certain way that was not in your true identity. Come on. There was an attack on your identity. And you had to recalibrate, you had to defend yourself in a certain way that causes your thinking to change, your emotions to change, and then everything around you will have strong borders. You see? And so that the missiles are out. And therefore, you are reactive and not open. You see? And that's where the problem is. And I just want to read this because being known, what came to me was, isn't it so much easier if we start a relationship that I tell you, hey, when we finish this relationship today, I might just see you once, I might see you twice, I might not see you again, ever again. It might be a business relationship, it might be a personal relationship, it might not be professional, it might just be a friendship. Maybe you meet someone at a bar, maybe you meet someone when you're out there, and you say, what happens if in your discussion you say, hey, you know what, if there's one thing, and you don't have to say this, please don't say this, because it looks like, that would kill it, right? Okay, but if you can conceptualize it, where, hey, you know, when I finish talking to you, this is how I want to be known. If we can start off with that, everything changes. I'm telling you, it's like a genius idea, if I should say so. Yeah? I'm telling you, if we could start off like that, like this is how I want to be known, like as we start any relationship, okay, everything changes because you already told them who you are and how you want to be remembered at the dinner table this evening. Okay? Because trust me, You will be discussed at the dinner table this evening. Okay, they will discuss it. But if you can already say, this is how I like to be known, and I'll prove myself. If we relate, if we continue, you'll see that I will fall into this model that I'm telling you. I want to be known like this. You see, everything changes because at the end of the day, when people know you for who you are, something changes in your life. You stop proving. You stop performing. You know, I see churches, I have 600 pastors. Okay, Mangalika is here. She's in charge of Colombo. I was actually talking to a very powerful lady recently, and she said, what about feminism in your church? I spoke about you. I said, feminism in my church, I said, we are one of the only dioceses that have women as bishops. Okay, she's in charge of Colombo. Yeah, that lady over there. She's a gangster who's now a bishop. Yeah, she came from there, brought and bred from there. Gonna fight you, man. You know, but she's a gangster. She looks after drug addicts and kids who are under rehab and stuff like that. And she's a gangster, but she's a bishop today because God revealed to us that we need to give due place to the right people. You see, and so yeah, we got to reform. We're doing reform here, right? We're reforming the church. Okay, so guys. But first, it has to be a safe space where people know you for who you are. You see? And that's what I want to talk about, because I'm just going to read from 1 Corinthians 13. It's like 1 Corinthians 13 is probably the most celebrated chapter in the Bible. It's the famous love chapter. You know, even if you're not a believer, you have heard something read out of this at one point in your life, okay? But interestingly, 1 Corinthians 13 goes into this wonderful... see, 1 Corinthians 14, you can't see it here, but it says prophecy and tongues, 1 Corinthians 14. 1 Corinthians 13, the greatest gift, which is love, okay? 1 Corinthians 14 is prophecy and love, prophecy and tongues, okay? I just want to get it. 1 Corinthians 13 is love. 1 Corinthians 14 is prophecy, okay? So I want to understand, because Dream Team is going to come up and we're going to prophesy, okay? And people say, Kirby, how do you accurately get these like names and places and faces and stuff like that? And I say, because Dream Team means they dream for you. So when I see someone who comes to a church and their life is in helter-skelter and it's broken, okay, that's the perfect situation for WOWLife Church. Because WOWLife Church believes in redemption. Story of my life, okay? It means that someone who's broken, rejected, trampled, can be raised from the dead, man. You get it? Okay? Maybe it was your life as well. And so when we see someone, Jesus says, I saw you, and therefore I know you. See, when you see someone, you don't see the deadness, you don't see the brokenness, you don't see something that you can fix. But you say, despite the mar of tar and dust and ashes, inside of that is a phoenix that can rise. And that ability to see is called faith. That's all it is. What is faith? People say, how do you have miracles? Because sick people come and I say, hey, how are you doing? Oh, I'm really sick and my hand is broken and whatever it is. Let me pray for you. What does that mean? You have faith. Faith is just the ability to see, not what is presented, but beyond, transcended into really who they truly are. You see? And that's the miracle of Jesus. Because when you see right, you know right, what happens is there's transformation. You see? And the wonder of it is he teaches on love. Okay, and I'm just going to read a bit of it, okay, for you to see. And if you know this chapter, I'm going to read a little bit of it so that you get familiar. It says, love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not, this is in verse 13:4. Love does not parade itself. It's not puffed up. Does not behave rudely. Does not seek its own. Is not provoked. Thinks no evil. Does not rejoice in iniquity. You see, you heard this before? Come on. Yeah. But rejoices in truth. Yeah. Bears all things. Believes all things. I love that one. Believes all things. Gullible? No. Okay. Believes all things. Gullible? No. But believes all things. He believes again. Have you been hurt, rejected, let down? Come on. It's hard. That one's one of the hardest. Believe again. Believe that you can be loved again. Believe that you can find someone again. Believe that you can have hope again. Believe that someone's word is good again. Can you come out of your trauma, your PTSD, your complex PTSD, and say, I'm going to trust again? Come on. Okay? Do business again. You know how many times I've been played out in business? You won't believe it. So many times. And every time now someone calls, I'm like, yeah. I'm still skeptical. Like one guy turned up to my house and said that he was working for a king in Dubai, I shouldn't say names, but thank God it was the wrong country. So, so he turned up at my house, and some of you know this story, and recently, and said that he's working for so-and-so, and I said, look, and he said, oh, I've got this. I said, well, if it is true, I want you to get so-and-so to call my so-and-so, who's in one of those big houses that are guarded in this country, and tell them who he is. And that happened. But it was because I was so skeptical, because I got played out by charlatans constantly, I needed proof. Now, it's a good thing. It's a very, very good thing, okay? And I think that's smart, but there is also a place of, I got played out so many times, I can't trust people anymore. Okay, believes all things, okay? We need to see with new eyes, you see? And here we are, again, and it ends off, which is beautiful, verse 12. For we now see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part. I love this one. Now I know in part. It means every time I'm seeing you, I'm only seeing part of you. In fact, the scientists say I'm only seeing 0.005% of what is true. Okay? He says, I know in part, but then I shall be known. Then I shall know just as I am known. You see? It's just beautiful, okay? Just keep it there, don't take it off. Just understand, it says that anytime you see something, you just see it in part. But there's a time when love is fully matured, when love is so matured, that you can see people in their fullness. Despite the fact that they may be wrong, despite the fact that they may be bad, despite the fact that they would have lied to you before, despite the fact that they've robbed from you and let you down before. Come on, man. Okay? There is a way to know people and see people again in a place of faith that they change. I'm not telling you to be gullible, okay? I'm not telling you to go back to your old boyfriend who beats you up, please. Okay? I'm not telling you that. Okay? That's not what I'm saying. Okay? But I'm saying there's a way you have to work on your sight again. Because when you see again, you will know again, and something happens. And this is what it says. It says, so now we see in a mirror, dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know just as I also am known. Bless you. Okay? And then I shall know just as I am known. Now that's a very, very beautiful thing. It means you can take it in so many ways. You can say, one day I'll be known the way God sees me. Okay, but I have a sneaky feeling that doesn't mean, that's not what it says. This is what I feel. Because the next verse, okay, verse 13, and now abides faith, hope, and love. These three, but the greatest of these is love. He's talking of supernatural sight. He sees that there's a sight that you can see with the lens of love. That you see people for their fullest. It's beautiful, okay? And then he goes here, verse 14, chapter 14. Pursue love and spiritual gifts, but especially that you may, what? Prophesy. This is just after he said that. Okay, why am I saying this? It's because he says, the word prophecy, it means that you can tell someone, literally, you can speak forth their future. We're not mediums here. We're not channels here. We're not, soothsayers here. We don't tell you your future, but it says that if you love, you will see. You see them in their fullness. And actually what you're telling them is who they are in their future. Who they already are in their future. That's what it means. It's beautiful, isn't it? Okay? So as much as you like to say, one day God is going to see me, God knows me exactly who I am, but he says, church, it also means you need to see people beyond the dimness. You need to see people in their fullness. You need to see people in hope, faith, love. What happens if I have shades of hope, faith, love? You see? Then I can prophesy, because prophecy means creating a frame for someone according to hope. You hope. When someone is sick, he comes to you, and you have hope. You have so much hope. You've seen it happen before. You've seen people get healed before. You've seen communities come around people before, support people before. People get healed because of the love of a community. You've seen it happen. And you've seen people healed because where there's great love, there's great miracles. Come on. Okay? And then, if you see people through hope, faith, and love, you can speak over them. That's what prophecy means. And something according to how you see and know will happen. Okay? Yeah. There is a Christ in every single man, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, no matter who he is. There's a Christ, a fullness of Christ, waiting to come out. Do you see it? Do you see it in the man who steals? Do you see it in the corruption in the government? Big one. How can we ever have an awesome nation if you can't see an awesome nation? What will first take the church to do is to see faith, hope, love. We're not going to take a long time to get out. We're going to get out very fast. Because we see in love. We love this nation. We love the people. And we see in faith, hope, and love. And therefore, now we have a right to speak. You see, because we're seeing with the lenses of God, because he doesn't see any individual as something lower or broken or unrepairable. Does this place need repair? Of course it needs repair. Does it need a change? Yes, we need a change. But of course, we need to see in faith, hope, and love. Are we on our way? Yes. We are on our way, Sri Lanka. We are on our way. Yeah, we'll get there fast. And I see it in your jobs. I see it in your jobs. When people come tell you, oh, you know, there are no jobs here, there is no money and all that. Believe me, at these times, I mean, just come and sit with us and I'll tell you stories of power and finance and business. I mean, we finance, you know how we finance the church. We don't depend on you to finance the church. But how do we do it? Because God is good. God is not having a financial problem. Okay? In the realm that there is no, in eternity, in the realm of kairos, no time and space, but they don't know one zero from the other zero. There is no financial problem. It's just our sight. Scientists call it observer effect. But just thinking about that, I just want to, I'll just read one more scripture. Is that okay? Yeah? Let's turn to, let's turn to the famous story. That's a really cool story. Let's turn to John 1. Okay? I'm going to show it to you again. John 1. What happens if we know people the way they want to be known? What happens if I have the generous favor to meet someone who's important? You see, the people scandalize and talk about. Wouldn't it be nice to say, you know, sir, what would you like to be known as? I might not ever see you again, but if there's one impression you want to leave in my heart, what would that be? And then that's what I talk at the dinner table. You see? What happens if you can do that to me and if I can do that for you? Yeah? Then we'll be celebrating people in their very essence, and they don't have to try to prove themselves constantly, because even when mistakes are made, you'll say, look, I met so-and-so. This is what he said. I want to remember him like that. Because as long as I hold my faith and my hope and my love, I think the essence and the trueness of his identity, the Christ in him, will come out. Because at the end of the day, guys, that goodness inside of you, believe me, is coming out. Do you know that even the worst type of people, when life happens to them constantly, life happens. I was that worst type of person, please understand. Okay? I was the worst type of person. And then life happens, and life happens, and life happens. And the more life happens, it digs deep into the gold. It digs deep into the gold and it brings the gold out. Pain is a wonderful way to bring gold out. Trauma is a wonderful way. Yeah. Trauma is not bad. There's something called post-traumatic growth. Okay? It doesn't, resilience is not so good. You go through suffering, you go through pain, and you're fighting, and you're fighting, and you're fighting, and you're constantly responding, and you're constantly doing things. That's called resilience. That's not so great. But if you can let it go and say, I am known by these guys. I'm known by you. And that's all that matters to me. My church knows me, and I'm known by them like how God knows me. They see me. That's what causes me to live. What causes me to live when dengue tries to get me. That's what causes me to live when a sickness and disease tries to get me. That's what causes me to live when they say my DNA needs repair or is not there to be repaired or whatever it is. That's what causes me to say, I will live. Because someone knows me and someone loves me the way I know myself. You see? And that's what we need to offer people. And so I'm just going to read you a little more. These guys are having a good time, huh? Okay. We'll try and be louder than them when we finish off, okay? They need to say, hey, leave that party. We've got to go next door, man. Let's crash that place. Okay. So here we are. Where are we? John 1, okay? It's just beautiful, okay? John 1, this story that I told you, but I'm going to read it to you so you know that I'm not lied to. It's really in the Bible, okay? Verse 47. Jesus saw Nathanael coming towards him and said to him, behold. You see that word, behold? He's like, not only does he see, Jesus saw, but he causes everyone else to see. Doesn't that sound like wow? Okay. Like Roshit's corny little jokes about Philip and Mark and all that. And, sometimes I do want to call him and say, Roshit, Machang, just like, because it's like home and home. We're a global church now, Machang. There are 500 people watching us. Like they don't know who Mark or Philip is, But I didn't want to put the brakes. Yeah. Because they're watching, they might not know Mark and they might not know Philip like that and all the jokes about it, but they realize this guy can be himself. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. People know Philip a little more than Mark, yes. So that safe environment is so, so important. And let me tell you that as you start thinking about having this definition, if you don't mind, can I just go back to Genesis? I won't read it to you, but I'm going to tell you a story. Is that okay? Yeah, before I get here. You see, when Jesus defined him, because that's the definition, right? I mean, Nathanael is a definition. Like it's a name. My name, Kirby, brought from the church, is a definition, but it doesn't tell the whole story. There's so many sentences that make who I am, or essays, I can say. Okay? But if you know one sentence, it'll help me. If I know one sentence about who you want to be known as, it would help everyone else. You see? And so the fact of the matter is, that sentence is the definition of how people see you. I like what Melissa said. I didn't talk to her about this before the meeting, but she said it perfectly. She said, Kirby narrates my story well. Can we become storytellers of each other? Can we narrate our stories well? Because as we narrate our stories well, people can only see according to the definitions you give them. Come on, that's true. Okay, you can say Kirby's a nice guy, or Fiona is a nice person, but that's not enough. I can say, well, Ralph is okay, he's a good cook. He's a good cook. But what about, he's my friend. He's my buddy, man. He stood with me during tough time. He's there anytime I call him. He's very sensitive. He is. He's a sensitive guy. I know he looks German and all that, but he's a softie. You see, that builds something like, oh, I know Ralph. You see? And so that's what Jesus was doing. He was like, not only I saw, but behold, look, guys, this is who this guy is. It's a celebration of identity, not the godly identity, but their individual identity. We have an individual identity that needs to be celebrated. I'm so different from you. I think you would have figured that out. Okay? And that individual identity has to be celebrated by your church and by your community. And if that happens, you thrive. Because when there is interactions, when there are, we call ourselves human beings, but in my studies, they're calling ourselves interbeings. Yeah, psychology is calling us interbeings. That's really cool. And it comes from a systems perspective. Like psychology is saying, look, we have to look at it. There's this awesome science now that they've started called system science. I wish I could study it, but I just don't know my math's good enough to study it. But it's an amazing science because it's systems. Like how we talk about God is from a guy called Pseudo-Dionysius, who believed that God is one integrated system. You see, God is on top, he's one. At the bottom, he's divided. That's science. And he comes down, and when he comes to a flower, he's completely divided. You see? When he comes to you, he's divided. God divided times 5. But if you go up, or in, it's 1. The closer you go to the tree of life that is in the middle of your heart, God is one. It's amazing. The Muslims, Hindus, everyone, we can all meet God in the middle of the garden, dude. No issues. But when you come here, we're divided, and Christianity is different from the Muslim faith. It's different from the Hindu faith. It's different from the Buddhist faith. It's different. And that's good. I'm not trying to be syncretic. I like being syncretic. I like to see differences in each one, but I want you to celebrate me as a Christian. Like I will celebrate you as a Muslim and you as a Buddhist. Come on. And we can all hang out together, but it's in the division is where the magic is. And people don't get this. And people don't get it, so they're trying to now, let's all the time, let's hold hands with the Singhalese and Muslims and all. Hold on. Before you do that, who is a Tamil? Define it. Give it a name. Give it more than a sentence. A Tamil man is more than a sentence. Hardworking. Will fight to their death. Come on, we know those things, right? Those are things to be proud of. Okay, I'm Singhalese, I can talk about them that. You see? You define it. When you define it, people know them. But we're all trying to be one without understanding our individual definitions. And that's where the problem is. It's a problem with church. Like everyone comes in and says, you're all the same. You're all the same. No, I don't want to be all the same. WOW is different to you. Dude, we play house music at church. We're different. I don't want to be like you. Because I want to celebrate our individuality. And I will celebrate your individuality. I love hymns. I love John Wesley. And I can come to your church and I can lift my hands up, or maybe not, or do that, or whatever you do at church. I'll do it with you. But don't take my individuality away. Jesus celebrated the individual. And so when this interbeing interacts, then there are nuances. Because trust me, when you and I have a conversation like for me to know Ralph or Fiona, a being, an individual have to interact. And out of this comes a major phenomenon. It's like a wonderful relationship that has birthed this. But you see, the two individuals, it says the word became flesh. It's the two have become one. But the two remain. We're not so one, Fiona and I are not so one that you can't find out who Fiona and I are. We're completely different human beings. You're completely different to me, and that's good. You're supposed to be. Sometimes you don't agree with me. That's good as well. Don't stop coming. Keep coming. Catch me at the door. Or send me a message. You know my phone number if you're here. And I'll talk to you. It's fine. Just because you don't agree doesn't mean you're not loyal. You had enough of that. Okay? You have to be able to understand this. In this interaction of differences, there's a dynamic that happens. When that dynamic happens, that dynamic is what I'm looking for. Because when dynamic happens, then we have definitions. Then we have definitions. When you understand who I am to you and who you are to me, then there are definitions, there are borders, there are walls, the porous, the fluid walls are set up because of our interaction. Then you understand, yes, Kirby is the pastor of the church, but he's still my friend. You see, there are definitions we can define only when there's interaction. So for a system like you to grow into something amazing, which you will, trust me, I dream about this stuff for you. You see, we're going to grow into something beautiful and wonderful that can transform a nation, but for that, we need people who are different. And we need people who are different to interact. And that's why I sat with the coaches yesterday, and I said, coach groups, we have so many coach groups, I don't know, 16 or 17 coach groups, I'm not sure how many, but these coach groups will have local coach groups, okay? The local coach groups will now start defining their passions. And their passions will become their purpose. And their purpose and their meaning then will handle national issues. So yesterday I spoke about it and I said, but I need to find out who you are. Define yourself properly. So Philip said he likes dancing and staying up all night and wearing fancy suits. Okay. But he also likes architecture and entrepreneurs. And eating food, good food. So I said, okay, those are your passions, but now we have to match those passions together, because as you match those passions together, then we're going to have all the right chemicals, the dopamine, the serotonin, the neuroepinephrine, the oxytocin, and all the right chemicals, so that Philip can get up every single day and say, I'm going to take on the world because my passions have been put together with the people whose passions are put together, and they all wake up in the morning with one single purpose as Philip's coach group. You see? For this season, for 1 year, for 2023. And I said, okay, Tamara, now and Ryan, what is your coach group like? And Ryan and Tamara, they like running and they like eating clean food, unlike Philip. They like clean, they like very nice clean food. And that's why Ralph and Jackie are now at Philip's coach group. and Tamara, they're life food. You see? And they like running and all, and they help Mangalika with her work at Nelly Tree with all the children. And so they like poverty alleviation. And I said, okay, now those are your passions. How do you put that passion together? What's the recipe? Put it together, and you're going to have a fusion. You put it together, you get all the right neurochemicals, and you will have a bounce in your feet when you wake up, because you're with your tribe, with your people. But this is all a part of one system. But now what's happening is these guys are interacting with each other. And Tamara says, but we like what Philip is doing as well, so we can work together. And Roshit had something, and she said, we like the same thing, and we can work together. Now, Roshit had very, very similar things to Philip, and there were exchanges, apparently, of WhatsApps and messages today. I don't know about you doing something, you're working together. You're not reach out, okay. Yeah, you won't reach out, he's going to reach out. Yeah, they're going to be reaching out to each other because of your video about the dog. I don't know how many of you saw Fiona and the dog. And, So the fact of the matter is they're going to now become like you now. I'm talking home and home. People don't get this. Okay, but the fact of the matter is now there's interaction between the two coach groups because it looks very similar. But now what's going to happen is we have to have our definitions. Now Philip will have to be known by Roshit in a way that he wants to be known. And Roshit will have to be known by Philip in a way he wants to be known. And Ajay will have to be known by the others the way he wants to be known. And Trevor and Naomi and all the coach groups will have to know each other according to wonderful definitions. And those are those borders that I'm talking about. And honestly, if definitions can come into our life, if I can know you according to your expression, and if I can define you and name you, just like Adam did, right in Genesis 2, when the animals were brought just pure spirit and introduced, and he named them, and God was so curious. What did you name? What do you name? God is asking Adam, what do you name them? Like they're spirit. The animals are spirit. This is just a story, okay? You don't have to believe it, okay? I try to believe it. Sometimes I don't. It doesn't matter. They're just stories. They're just stories, but the stories are what makes us. Let's get this. The stories are what makes us. It doesn't matter whether it's true or not true. It's a story that changes you. It's that life story that we give it. And so now this being is brought to Adam, and Adam has a power, like the church has a power today, to give things definitions. And he says, this is a giraffe and he's got a long neck. It's not in the Bible, but I'm just saying. This elephant has a long trunk. You can see how he got everything wrong. You see? And he gives definitions to formless things. And the interesting thing about our God is that he listens very, very keenly to what Adam is calling them. It's right there in Genesis 2. Please read it. And he's so excited. And he's like this God is like, what do you call it? What do you call it? What do you call Philip? Do you know him like he wants to be known? Philip, do you know him like he wants to be known? Ajay, do you know him? Do you know them like he wants to be known? You see? And he's saying, what did you call each other? Tell me what you call. What do you call them? And then he says, whatever Adam defined it as, it became. It became. Who is the church? The church is one who defines the world from a heart space of Christ. The church is one who defines the world from a heart space of agape love. You see, that is who you are. And as you start defining things and gives it these borders that are like porous and fluid borders, we have strong definitions. As you start giving things those definitions and you say, this is how I know this thing, and God himself says, church, Philip, Roshit, Kirby, wow, you know, and saw well. And then suddenly, that's what it means in 1 Corinthians 13. He says, then you can prophesy. Prophesy means create a future for someone else. The church is a prophetic machine. It creates a future for this nation. It creates a future for others. When people come in, it sees with faith, hope, and love. Broken people, people on drugs, people who are lost, people who are broken, people who have families who have crashed, families, wives wanting to divorce their husbands, and then we see in a way that no one else saw them before. Come on, church. And then he said, you saw me like that? He said, not only I saw you, I know you because I can see the best inside of you. I know that because who I'm seeing is Christ. And therefore, I speak it. And therefore, now we've got church, reformation, revival, lives completely changed and formed into the best possible self ever. You understand? There's a Christ in every single person that is waiting to be known. There's a Christ in every man waiting to be seen and known by the church. Come on, guys. Let's do church. Let's do church. Dream team, come up. Come on.